Gentlemen, in this video we're going to talk about something which should be very high on your priority list. It's having the ability to reflect on why you believe what you believe, and also having the ability to question it. Because a lot of times you believe things because you've just heard them. It's like, I've heard that, so I believe it. I don't know what it is. There's like a theory or something. Not a study, but there's something. It's like so-and-so's law of whatever. I can't remember what it is, but it basically says something along the lines. You'll probably know in the comments. If you remember, just mention in the comments. It's like your brain is that good at processing information that it will just gobble it up, and before it's easier to gobble it up as if it's the truth than it is to question it. So your brain does that. So you have to actually have that awareness to, hold on a minute, whoa, that's not my belief, that's yours. I respect it, happy days. However, I have all of this evidence to believe that you're talking absolute shit, mate. This is a superpower. And I know everything's superpower nowadays, 2024, online coaches, all that bollocks, right? This is a superpower. Having that level of, having the ability to show that level of self-reflection and try and distinguish between reality and just your beliefs, it's quite tricky. But I hope with that little introduction, you fully appreciate why it's important. A lot of people over the years have had conversations with you, and you now believe their beliefs without actually doing your own digging. So, what you will get from watching this video, I'm going to take you through a couple of studies. Hopefully, you find them extremely useful. And yeah, I just challenge you to, why do I believe what I believe? Is there any evidence to show the opposite? There is never any harm in questioning somebody. And I love it when people question me, because we get into a right back and forth in it, and it looks heated. It looks like we're having an argument. Like some of my close mates will have it out. And what happens is, by you questioning something, they have to go a little bit deeper into their knowledge bank to validate their point. And then you come back with something else, which requires you to go a little bit deeper. And the conversation goes from surface level shite to but then conversations only get that deep when you're actually speaking to somebody who is relatively high level and they actually know their shit. If you're talking to somebody that hasn't got a clue and they don't know why they believe what they believe, it's something that they've seen on the news, then they won't know why they believe that. So then you can kind of disregard it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, who the hell am I? For those of you that have just joined, welcome. My name is Paul Green, and I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces support group operator. I've spent most of the past decade specialising as a physical training instructor in the British Army. I've trained probably thousands of individuals, groups, teams, varying from extremely high levels of fitness all the way to absolute dross. There is some dross in these high level units. Anyway, some of them as well have been on the post-injury pathway. I've trained recruits that are just joining the army, people like yourselves. So I've got a well-rounded experience of different audiences, different ages, different body types. Keep the fucking noise down, you arsehole. So that's me. And as you can probably imagine, working with these types of people day in, day out, and putting smiles on their faces and really trying to benefit their physiology on such a regular basis, you start to really learn about them as individuals, and you start to learn about yourself as well. So, that's me. That's why it's important. You know what you get from the video, so that's it. That's why you should listen. But hopefully, you have one of these, Hopefully you have some coffee at the ready to coat the tusks with the brown stuff. So I'm going to go straight into the studies, and I've read a couple of them. They look okay, but please enjoy these, right? So these are on Google Scholar, and all I've done is searched resistance training in, I don't know what I've said, something like, one sec, this is going to be, I'm going to read some of this verbatim, but I've just went on to Google Scholar and I've searched resistance training in older adults. Frailty or failure to thrive are most frequently observed in elderly, physically inactive people. A frail person is defined as one of a small stature with muscles that are atrophied, which is loss of size, weak and easily fatigued. The condition of failure to thrive is typically by lack of response to a well-designed programs of nutrition and physical activity. Okay, you get the idea of where I'm going with this. However, I'm just going to read off a couple more sentences. With age and skeletal muscle atrophy appears in humans, appears to be inevitable. A gradual loss of muscle fibres begins at approximately the age of 50. I believe 40. My research is 40. However, I'm not going to argue. And continues such by 80 years of age. Approximately by 50% of the fibres are lost from limb muscles that have been studied from both humans and rats. The observation is that the timings and the magnitude of the loss of motor units is similar to that of the fibres, which suggests that the mechanism responsible for the loss of fibres and the loss of the whole motor unit is the same. Make sense? So fibres are going, and the motor units. The motor units are what sparks the contraction in the muscle itself. The degree of atrophy of the fibres remains largely dependent on the habitual level of physical activity of the individual. Okay, if you don't train, you lose your muscle. Limiting beliefs, lads. Again, we go back to belief versus reality and being able to question why you believe what you believe. Strength training in older adults. The benefits for osteoarthritis. Muscle weakness is a common impairment in older adults, and osteoarthritis is most frequently occurring chronic conditions in older people. We all know this. You know what I mean? How many of your mates have got arthritis in the knee or whatever? We know it, right? It is therefore not surprising that these conditions frequently coexist in the elderly. Skeletal muscles produce all voluntary human movement. Changes in properties and performance of all muscles can profoundly affect an older person's ability to walk and function independently. We all know old people fall. Okay? So, profoundly affect an older person's ability to walk and function independently. Assisted living, care homes. Old men and women are known for not really being that active. Now, if you think about the range of movements that are required for an older person to do in the day, like get out of bed, go and brush their teeth, go and watch TV, go in the garden, and then watch more TV, then go to bed. It's not that demanding. So, they can't even do that without falling. The reason people are falling is because they have lost that much strength that it's a real struggle for them to do the most basic daily tasks. But it's not just about strength. I've read a study on this earlier on, because strength-based programming doesn't improve agility and it doesn't improve balance. So balance and agility need to be a little bit of the programming as well, especially as we start to creep up really in the later ages. Older adults with osteoarthritis will benefit from a strength training program that provides progressive overload to maintain intensity throughout the exercise program. Progressive overload is where you increase the weight to maintain the muscle contractions, the muscle stimulus, in order to get you your goals: hypertrophy, speed, power, strength. And generally, a rule of thumb would be to never increase the weight that you lift by more than 10%, and should be alright. Obviously, the repetitions may reduce slightly in order for you to hit sets with that new weight, but you don't really want to be increasing your weight by more than 10% a week. But write your sessions down, track your lifts, track your sets, track your reps. Clinicians should encourage that participating in exercise training programs. Yes, of course. Even in the oldest of old with osteoarthritis, this is mind blowing. Because there's a lot of people out there that say, don't train if you've got arthritis. What are you going to do then? Honestly, as long as you know your start point, really build it up slowly, you're going to improve some of the strength of these structures. It's not just about the joints. Yeah, the joints might be fucked, but if you've got stronger muscles that surround the joints, it can only help out. And it goes on to say people with OA should be reassured that it is unlikely to exacerbate their pain if performed using appropriate methods and the appropriate dose. In fact, the evidence suggests that it will decrease pain in most older people. Gentlemen, like I said earlier on, the beliefs that you have, you live by. And it's an awful shame that a lot of the times the beliefs that you have aren't even your own. If somebody tells you that you can't do something because of X, Y, and Z, then just say to them, why do you believe that? Like, me as a coach, I have no problem with any of you saying in the comments, why do you believe that? Why is that your belief? And if I don't know my stuff, I have to give you an answer, or I look like an idiot. So I either have to go and learn and find out an answer, or I look like an idiot. So the way I see people testing me and people questioning me in my business, it's only a positive thing, because it allows me to go a level deeper than the typical. Because most people in my line of work are just like, most people just nod their head and say, yeah, I believe you, you're the expert. When you get questioned, you have to go a level deeper, and you're like, ooh, they actually asked me a good question there. And a lot of the times I know the answer, but sometimes I don't. And if I don't, I'm like, ooh, it actually excites me, because then it allows me to go away, do my research, and then give them the answer. Or that question may actually tweak my belief system a little bit. I might be like, you know what? I might have to rethink things. Anyway, so you've been told that, training when you're 60-year-old will make your joints ache and it'll make your muscles sore. That's what it does when you're fucking 20. Like, if you're a beginner lifter, it doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, 90 year old. If you're a beginner lifter, then first few couple of weeks, you're going to be fucked. What do you expect if you're a beginner lifter? Typically, people are like, I shouldn't go to the gym when I'm 60 because it makes me really sore. It'll make me feel worse. Beginner lifters, you're going to be so sore. Like, it's not an age thing. Being sore, it's not an age thing. But again, that just goes back to what I'm saying about belief versus reality. Any beginner lifter, regardless of age, gets sore when they weightlift. That's reality.